And this is Jacob on the one up top. I've got no fans, but I'm going to have to do the business again. So this game I'm previewing tomorrow is Southampton versus Brighton. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it's a derby. You know, both teams on the south coast, and they'd like to treat this as a derby. You've got teams like Southampton, Brighton, Portsmouth that class that as, you know, a coastal derby. So let's just get into it with the teams, you know. So first of all, I'm going to start with the home team, which is Southampton. Now, Southampton over the course of the season have really impressed me. I do like the way they play football. I like the way they go into games believing that they've got to be positive in everything. They've got some players that I really do enjoy watching. You know, Danny Ings being the epitome of that. Then you've got players like Armstrong, you know, Nathan Redmond. I do like watching Che Adams as well. You know, if he could score more goals, I think he'd be in the frame for an England spot. They did have a dip of form. You know, it got to the point where arguably they were having a go at sitting at the top of the league for a day or two, but they've just gone off the pedal. And I think it's nothing to do with the players. It's nothing to do with the coach. I just think when they've had injuries, the players that have come in are not as good as a Danny Ings. They're not as good as a Che Adams, but they've done the job. They've just not been good enough. But they've started picking up form now. You know, they played against Sheffield United, who, you know, everybody seems to be beating at the minute, but that's gave them a bit of confidence, you know, especially someone like Che Adams, who I've been raving about, scored a great goal against Sheffield United the weekend. That'll give him a great boost. But yeah, I do like Southampton. You know, if I was going to grade Hasenhüttl, I'd say a B, just because they should have been in the mix for the top four the way that they started. But now they've kind of, you know, settled for possibly a top 10 finish. I think if Southampton as a board give Hasenhüttl the money that is required, and I'm not talking Man City money or anything like that, I'm just saying if they were to give him, you know, 50 million, 100 million and invest in a good team, they would always be in that top 8 for me. So if I move on to Brighton now, again, they're a team that play the football the right way, but we all know that playing the right way doesn't always get results. You look at Blackpool, everybody loved Blackpool when they come in the Premier League, but all they did was play the same way and didn't get the results. Sometimes you've got to change that way, and it doesn't come across like Brighton do that. They've got some very nice players. They've got, you know, Neil Maupay. Lallana is a player that I've always raved about. You've got Basuma, who I think they need to do all they can to keep him, because he's a player that's going to be monitored by some of the bigger clubs. You've got Lewis Dunk as well, the captain, for me, of an assured Premier League centre-half. And I think the form of Brighton hasn't put him in the reckoning for England, but I think he does a good job there. But if I'm going to look at this game as a whole, I can't see anything but a Southampton win, just because they've been invigorated from the Sheffield United. They've stopped the blip, and the derby is a game that every team that is, especially if you're in bad form, you want to use that as a platform to progress. So I look at Southampton. Fair enough, they haven't got Danny Ings back, but I think with Che Adams scoring, they've got Nathan Tella, who had a brilliant performance the other day, the young kid, and they're getting a few players back. Ward-Prowse again got himself another goal. I can't see Brighton getting anything. They would probably be hoping to go there and get a draw and just add to the tally that they've got. But I think Southampton will win the game 2-0. Brighton need to be really careful, because I genuinely believe that Fulham won't go down. So it's going to be out of Brighton, Burnley maybe, and Newcastle that need to be hoping that Fulham have a blip, because if Fulham don't, they're getting dragged in. And if out of the three clubs, I'd probably be saying, as much as Brighton play good football and they've got decent players, they'll be the ones that would be my favourites to go down if Fulham stay up. So I'm going to go with a Southampton 2-0. It's very hard to say goal scorers, but I'd like to think that Che Adams will probably get on the score sheet, and I can see Vestergaard scoring from set pieces, because I remember looking at a stat. I think Brighton are probably the bottom three for conceding from set pieces, and with Ward-Prowse whipping them in, who's probably the best set piece taker in the league when it comes to corners and free kicks, you'd like to think that Vestergaard's going to get a lot of chances, and he does score quite a lot of goals from corners. So yeah, I want to say it with my chest. Southampton are definitely going to win, but if I'm going to go over a score, it'd be 2-0.